Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following the Madeline Soto case out of Kissimmee, Florida, and you're anything like me, you've probably been anxiously awaiting her mother's boyfriend Stephan Sterns' first trial to start this coming week. If you haven't heard the last minute news yet, then I'm unfortunately here to disappoint you. I'm disappointed as well. Because Sterns' lawyer contacted the prosecutor on the case and says now he wants a plea deal. Just as his first trial for the horrific SA of Precious Maddie is getting ready to take place. But according to reports, Sterns is not just asking for a plea deal for his first trial. He's asking for deals for his unaliving of Maddie trial as well. So a rushed hearing for his plea deals has been set to take place tomorrow, July 21st, before his first trial begins, which I think is disgusting. He should be made to sit through trial and face the terrible things he did to Maddie, in my opinion. And it looks like Maddie's mom, Jen Soto, is going to walk away from it all, scot-free. It makes me sick. Here is some of the news coming out about the last-minute plea deal hearing. And even though Court TV initially says it only applies to his first trial, that information is corrected to it applies to both trials. Justice for Madeline Soto. May she rest in peace. And thank you, as always, for watching.
Stephan Sterns has an unexpected plea hearing in both of the cases against him set for Monday.
Yeah, that's just one day before his trial is set to begin. Fox 35's Manny Martinez is live at the courthouse in Kissimmee today. So, Manny, prosecutors seeking the death penalty, but a deal could change all that.
It could, John, and Stephan Sterns has pleaded not guilty in both of these cases, but this is our first indication that that may change here. This is a notice that was filed by his team of attorneys just this afternoon, and that means that both sides, the judge and our cameras, will pack a courtroom inside this courthouse as the cases against Stephan Sterns could be coming to a close Monday afternoon.
It's a sudden development. Suspected killer and suspected child predator Stephan Sterns may agree to a plea deal. Just 14 minutes before the end of business Friday, his defense team called for a hearing on Monday. The notice is short and to the point. Plea. Monday's hearing is the day before Sterns' sex crimes trial is supposed to start, and months before the beginning of the murder trial. Defense attorney Jeffrey Golub, who's not part of this case, says the timing is intentional.
Once they start one trial, they're not going to give them a deal in either case.
Prosecutors say Sterns repeatedly abused and ultimately killed 13-year-old Maddie Soto last year. She was the daughter of Sterns' girlfriend. They all lived together in this apartment. Investigators found Maddie's body in woods near St. Cloud just a few days after she was reported missing. Sterns remains the only person ever criminally charged with Maddie's murder.
They would probably have a deal for life, and the reason for the deal would be to avoid the death penalty.
Over the past year and a half, it's a case that's gotten national media attention. It's also led to changes in absence notification policies at Orange County Public Schools. In that same time, the state built its two cases while Sterns' attorneys worked on their defense strategies. But now it's possible neither case will go to trial.
It is anticlimactic, of course, but it's really good for the family. I mean, they don't want to go through that. They don't want to hear that.
And that's exactly what a spokesperson for Maddie's father says. The upcoming trial, they say, would have reopened wounds. At the same time, the spokesperson told me that not going to trial means, her words, there will never be a sense of closure. At 11 o'clock, the different pleas Sterns could submit next week. Live in Kissimmee, Manny Martinez, Fox 35 News.
To break it all down for us, we have joining us WFTV reporter Giovanni Diaz here from Orlando with us to share the latest. Giovanni, thanks so much for hopping on with us. Tell us what you know about this latest filing.
Hey there, thanks for having me. Yeah, we actually are still working to get more details about this plea deal that it's now officially been scheduled for Monday. That is one day before his trial was supposed to start here. As we know, Stephan Sterns faces 16 charges related to sex crime. Those charges are related to files that were found in his phone the day after Madeline Soto, that 13-year-old girl, she disappeared. And then those files were very graphic images that depicted Madeline Soto and in sexual environments involving this man, according to all the details that we obtained from the police department responsible for arresting him at the time. Now, we understand that this plea deal will also include the murder trial that was expected to start in September. He is facing first-degree charges for the death of Madeline Soto. This happened just days after Madeline Soto's body was found here in this area. We are actually on the way back to where her body was recovered because we are still working to get more details about this case and still try to talk with the community here. I spoke earlier today with an attorney, with a criminal attorney, defense attorney, who was explaining to me that basically what this means is the defense team for Stephan Sterns was able to actually get him off death row. So he will be able to actually, this is according to our sources here at Channel 9 WFTV, he was able to actually get off the death row, and he is going to end up spending the rest of his life in prison. Again, this hearing is set to start at 1:30 on Monday, one day before his actual trial was supposed to start for the sex crimes, and months before his first-degree murder trial was supposed to begin. I was in the courtroom multiple times during this case, and there were several motions that were filed by his defense team. They're trying to pull some of the files that were found in his phone. They try to suppress those files as evidence. They wanted to remove that from the case. They wanted to get the press outside. They didn't want to have any journalists in the courtroom. All of those motions were tried, but the judge ahead of this case ended up dismissing those motions.
Yeah, Giovanna, there were so many things where we expected that we were going to have this trial next week. We have been gearing up here at Court TV. I appreciate you jumping on with us in the middle of your reporting on this breaking news, because this is huge. And I want to clarify for our viewers and for those of us who are still getting this information in, this plea hearing is not just, am I understanding you correctly, not just for the sex crimes case, but it is also going to involve the other trial. These are two separate cases, the murder of Madeline Soto case and also the sex crimes and child pornography that is related to what was found on Stephan Sterns' phone. You're saying that you're hearing that this plea is going to involve both of those cases.
That's correct. And that was the whole point, because they wanted to avoid a very aggressive trial, because again, I was in the courtroom. It's in the initial of this question here for the sex trial, for the sex crimes involving Stephan Sterns, and I heard from the judge explaining that they knew that it would be even difficult to find folks to be in the jury, because it was a case that really shattered this community here in Central Florida. So a lot of people had already opinions about this case, and they knew that would be a very challenging trial to proceed with. So they wanted, and that is my understanding from our sources here, is that the defense team wanted to avoid a trial altogether, because it would be very hard to not get the maximal penalty for him in this case, the maximal sentence for him, I should say, in this case, because again, this was a case that left this community here really concerned and on edge. I spoke with the mother of Madeline Soto, actually, as this case happened back last year. I spoke with her on the phone, because at that time we were treating this case as a missing persons case, right? So I actually spoke with her on the phone, and she was very in shock about everything that was happening, and that this case so quickly evolved in a way that everyone across Central Florida, lots of people in this community here, they know about this case. They have opinions about this case, because it was just very shocking. And at each development, at each phase of this story was very concerning for all of us here in this area.
Yeah, this would have been tough to find a jury that would not have a prejudice against this man. But Giovanni Diaz, thank you so much. WFTV Orlando, we appreciate you coming on and helping us share this breaking news with our viewers. We'll let you go for now, and we will continue to follow what happens there in Kissimmee, Florida, with the latest with Stephan Sterns, and we will, of course, be bringing you that plea hearing when it happens